If you can find a way to scale and grow a cash-based business, which is where a lot of businesses are trying to head now, then you cannot do it on logic alone. It has to be in your communication skills, your ability to help somebody see the value in what you do, and your ability to help somebody make a decision on their health. Not you, a better decision on their health. And if you can do that, you're going to win. Hey, good morning everybody. Welcome to a very special episode of the Paul Gough Physio Rooms show. It is day 21 of the Impact Tour and we are here this morning in a very beautiful Santa Monica, one of my favorite places in the whole of the US, in a gorgeous LA today. So we've had an incredible few days speaking with some of the finest PTs in the whole of California have made their way down to the Impact Tour. And one of the topics of conversations that I've loved to be engaged in with has been with a relatively new grad PT from the LA area. He just recently qualified and has been studying my material now for, let's say, 12 to 18 months, and he's now pretty entrenched in my methodology, my way of it's more about the patient and connecting and communicating with the patient than it is about the skill set. But he told me a lot about what is happening inside PT school these days, and it's more now to do with, or the emphasis is so big on the skill set, on the logic, on the research, on the white papers, and no matter what kind of he says and how he kind of tells his fellow students that we need to spend more time learning about how to connect and how to engage. His colleagues and his students, his fellow students, simply won't have it. So that's going to be a problem. It's going to be a huge problem for people going into private practice and trying to set up their own businesses, because I keep kind of trying to get this across, and that's why I keep putting these videos out and I keep putting the blogs out. I cannot get this across fast enough. If we don't help consumers to make better decisions about their health, they simply won't, all right? And where the profession has come from is not where it's going to go to in the future. So as I see it, I see a lot of PTs, particularly the new grads are coming out of school and thinking that it's all about the skill, it's all about the logic. And now, sure, I think it's obviously vitally important that you're very good at what you do. But my fear for a lot of PTs and a lot of new grad students is they are going to be overlooked. They're going to be left as overlooked and yet brilliant PTs, because they simply don't know how to connect with and engage with patients now in the new economy where patients are having to pay more because of co-pay and because of deductibles. If you don't figure out how to connect with and engage with these people so that they can see the true value of what you do, you will never get a chance to be a great PT. And again, let me make the big differentiation between patients who were referred by doctors. There's a lot of trust there. There's a lot of, there's a lot of already inbuilt confidence and trust in a decision to choose a PT because a doctor has recommended it. And for a lot of, obviously for a lot of PTs, they are getting schooled for the hospital system, and that's completely fine. It's exactly the same way that I was schooled when I was in physio school. We were set up for life in the National Healthcare Service to work in a big hospital system, the system where everybody's a billable unit. It's literally a hamster wheel. Patients come in and patients go. There's no real decisions having to be made, and patients are just part of a process. Now that's fine, but it's not good enough for private practice. And now that we're asking people to pay $50, $60 co-pays, a huge volume of cash PTs watching my show now, wanting to copy my model of full practices. You can't do that just by being a great PT. Put it this way, there are a lot of great PTs that I see, a lot of well-known national PTs, people will be familiar with, who've never been able to get past one practice, never been able to get past one busy clinic. Why is that? That's because the focus is largely on the logic, on the skill, on the research, on the white papers. So my message, as always, is, if you want to be a great practitioner, you're going to need the logic and you're going to need the skill. But you have to, and like there really isn't any other way. If you want to build a business and you want to be able to grow and scale a practice so that you can be the owner of a business rather than working in it all day, every day, then you're going to have to figure out how you help people make decisions. And it starts with understanding that patients simply don't really know what we do, and in the absence of any referral or any script from a doctor, the trust isn't there. So we have to build that trust into the relationship. We have to ask them questions, we have to engage with them, we have to spend 10, 15, 20 minutes on the phone with them, potentially offer them our time before we ask them for their money. And if we do that, we start to build an equity and value into the relationship. And that's never been more important because the game has simply changed. People are not paying $5 copay anymore. So if you're asking them for 10 sessions, 10 years ago it was $50 that they had to invest with you. These days, if it's $50 a session and they need 10 sessions, then they're going to need $500 to they're going to have to find $500 to come and see you. Or worse, what happens? The patient needs 10 sessions, but because he doesn't want to pay the money because he doesn't see the value, not that he hasn't got the money, it's that he doesn't see the value. And therefore he will settle on 3 or 4 or 5 sessions. So what you're finding is a patient is only getting half of the number of sessions that they really need, therefore they're not getting the transformation that they really deserve, and therefore the PT isn't getting the recommendations, isn't getting the wildly spectacular referrals, isn't getting the great word of mouth. And why would they? Because patients are dropping off. Patients are not following through on the care plan because they don't want to pay the bills. And why would they? Like I keep saying, they do not understand what they're paying for, and you and I and everybody else watching this video would not give somebody $500 for something that we don't know what it does. I'm happy to give the TVs. If I walk into an electrical store here this morning in Santa Monica and find a TV for $500, I'm happy to give them the $500 because I know I'm going to be able to watch Lost or NCIS or X Factor tonight at some point. So that's, I think, a problem, and it's going to be a problem, and it's going to be an opportunity, because as more and more students come out of school and they get told more and more that it's the value is in the skill, and the value is in the white papers, and the value is in the research, that is completely wrong. Completely wrong. It's important, but all it does, all of the research in the white paper and the skills and all of the extra things that you're going to be able to do in terms of the physical aspect of being a PT, just simply put you on the 100 meters line. They just let you run a race, but there's still a long race to run, and there's still a lot of other things now to factor in. And it's something that I wish the organizations, wherever you are, if you're in Britain, if you're in America, if you're in Canada, our organizations simply don't do a good enough job of helping us, the PTs, understand how we can actually impact our patients and what we have to do to get them to the point where they're happy to have the 6 or 7 or 8 sessions, so that we can give them the skill set and we can give them the impact that we've learned and spend 5 years and $100,000 on. It's a pretty big thing. And let me just say one final thing on this. I spoke to this guy. It was a guy called Scotty McAfee. Fabulous guy. He's so far ahead of the game. He's going to do incredible things. He's going to run a fabulously successful private practice within a year or two, I predict. And one of the things that I pointed out to Scotty was the reason that the PT schools will entrench you in the skills mindset is because you're paying $100,000, $150,000, potentially $200,000 for them to show you skills. It's not going to go down too well if they start to tell you that, hey, it's actually the success is all about asking questions and engaging and doing all this thing that they can't quantify and they can't give you a test on at the end of the day. And that's pretty much true of society. Everything that you're seeing, the school systems, all of the stuff that we know kids need to have these days, whether it's better communication techniques, whether it's time management, whether it's personal awareness, whether it's sales strategies, communication. This is the stuff that kids need to know, and kids need to be successful in life. That's the stuff that will set them up for success. But the governments won't put them into schools simply because they can't quantify it. Okay? They can't put a figure on it at the end. They've not found out a way to actually put that into a test yet. And it's the same in PT school. They are not going to put a huge emphasis on your engagement and connection skills. They might do one module on communication, which will be pretty, borderline dreadful, for want of a better word. They are never going to do that because you're paying them $150,000 to learn how to do manual therapy, or to learn how to do an assessment or an evaluation or a diagnostic or give a prognosis. That's what you're expecting for your money, and that's what they're going to give you. So when they put you out into battle, essentially, you pass out, you get your qualifications at the end of your 5 years or however long you're there, and they go, hey, well, we did our job, you paid you $150,000, we give you the diagnostic skills and we've given you the manual therapy skills, off you go. And it is literally like walking into a brick wall. That's what my fear is for most PTs, and it's only going to get worse, is that they come out of school, they're all trying to be better in terms of the skills, and most of them probably could have condensed that 5 years degree into 2 years. And if they'd have spent the final 2 years actually learning how to speak to people and communicate, show value, connect, empathize, help a skeptical, nervous, disheartened, pissed off, for want of a better word, customer to make a better decision about their health. Truly understanding that is where the transformation is going to be for a lot of PTs who want to move into private practice. And on the flip side, that's where the despair and the disappointment and the constantly feeling like you're in a tussle or in a fight with a patient will happen to a lot of PTs who stay within the system, and they're going to spend 20, 30, 40 years taking part in a hamster wheel. As prices go up, copay is going to go up, healthcare costs are going to rise, patients are going to get more pissed off. This whole thing is not going to go away, and until one or two of the big governing bodies actually face up to this and start to help their members, the PTs, the physios, to understand all of this, this profession is at a huge crossroads. Now, what we're seeing and the people that we're working with and the people watching these videos, you guys are the ones who are, you guys are the ones who are the change makers. You're thinking differently, you're seeing this differently, and you're starting to agree with me now that this game really is about being a human being and helping other human beings to make better decisions. That's everything that I teach. And any students watching this video who are arriving tomorrow in their PT school, good luck trying to change the mindset of your tutors or your lecturers, or even probably the 70 people in your class. My advice, do what you can do, which is quite simply change yourself and make an impact within yourself, and start spreading, start being who you want to be and impacting your patients in the way that you want to be. By all means, you've got to study the skills, and you've got to follow the manual therapy and the research and everything else. It's so important, but it will not be the difference if you want to be successful in growing and scaling a private practice. I guarantee it, and I will stand face to face, toe to toe with anybody who wants to disagree with me. If you can find a way to scale and grow a cash-based business, which is where a lot of businesses are trying to head now, then you cannot do it on logic alone. It has to be in your communication skills, your ability to help somebody see the value in what you do, and your ability to help somebody make a decision on their health. Not you, a better decision on their health. And if you can do that, you're going to win.